area. Hello and welcome to coverage of GP Atlanta. Maria Bartholdi here in the booth with Marshall Sutcliffe, Kaladesh, Sealed Deck, Andrew Brown there on the left side of your screen, Team East-West Bowl, and Michael Bonde on the right side. Both currently sitting at 3-0 here in round 4.
Big smiles from both of our players early here, but those will go away in a minute when they get into battle mode.
Battle mode.
Yeah, it's all fun and games until that first land hits the battlefield. Looks like we've got the names
mixed up.
Yeah, but we'll work on getting those fixed once we can.
That is Andrew Brown. There we go, on the left side.
Taking a look at the deck list here, Maria, and I'm seeing that Michael has going what I'm assuming is going to be an aggressive deck.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's playing red-white.
Andrew Brown plays a forest and attunes with some ether.
Yeah, he's playing a 3-color deck, though. It's primarily green-white. And he's splashing. Wait, did he just get a mountain there?
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of awkward because on his deck list, I'm not showing a mountain. I'm showing a swamp. Let me see what he's actually splashing for here.
Michael Bond going to play a veteran motorist to get things started.
All right.
Scry 2.
What I'm going to assume here is that he's actually splashing a swamp, but that he's green-red and not green-white. No, that's not true either. What is going on here? All right, I'm going to consult this deck list in a moment, but then we'll
Meanwhile, Michael Bond
watch
is
Michael just smash
face for 6. Brazen Scourge. Oh, what a card. So Andrew's got to put up some defense here. Otherwise, it's going to get pretty ugly. There he is, a plains in his hand. Taps 3 for some welding sparks, going to take down the Brazen Scourge.
All right, I think I have figured it out. So he's green-white.
Oof, crunch.
And he's splashing for black.
Okay.
I don't know why there's a mountain on the battlefield right now for him, though.
Okay.
It's not listed on his list, and he's, according to this, not playing any red cards.
So Michael played a Fleet Wheel Cruiser last turn, 5-3 for 4, trample and haste, and it's pretty nice that it crews itself, essentially, when it first enters the battlefield, and later on has a crew cost of 2. Followed up by a Chief of the Foundry, which is going to give other artifacts he controls, +1/+1. And Andrew's just going to scoop him up. First game goes to Michael, starting off this match. That was a really aggressive start.
That wasn't really close, was it?
No, it was not. Aggressive start and aggressive finish from Michael.
Goodness.
Boom, boom, boom. Fleet Wheel Cruiser, another one of those vehicles that you have to be on the just have on your radar that it could come out of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough.
It's a rare.
These rares are just tough to play around. You know, sometimes they just have it, and you just get smashed. But even then, I don't know what Andrew could have done with that start. I mean, Michael was attacking for 6 on turn 3. Like
pretty good.
Just get you dead.
I'm excited to see a red-white vehicles deck here in the feature match area, which of course when you play sealed, you play with what you got, so you don't necessarily have as much synergy as you do in a draft deck. But I think that's just a really fun archetype, and it seems that he's playing to it as much as he can. Veteran motorist and Fleet Wheel Cruiser. Veteran motorist, just a really interesting card on its face as well, as a 3/1 for red and a white, and allows you to scry 2 when it enters the battlefield, which is not something that red and white is used to getting all the time.
Yeah, and you said it, sometimes you don't get to build the perfect deck, but sometimes you do end up with, a red-white vehicles deck, and you just do it.
We we were talking about Team East-West Bowl before, which Andrew Brown is a member of. Kind of made up of players who are really, really on the rise, I would say.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And they've made a huge impact on the Pro Tour over the course of the last 2 to 3 Pro Tours. They went from being relatively unknown to being kind of a powerhouse. JC Tao winning that PT really put them, put a big stamp on their team for sure. They had a great deck for that.
Oh, I
Pro
remember
Tour.
that deck. Eldrazi with playing the 2-1 flyer.
Sky Spawner.
Yeah.
They had Eldrazi, Sky Spawner, and Modern. They busted
that. I love seeing draft staples end up in modern decks or constructed decks. I just love that. As someone who started as a limited player.
Wait, what do you mean started?
Well,
Are you no longer a limited player?
I am a limited player, but I've since played my first constructed GP Minneapolis.
Well, that's good.
Yes, standard.
It was standard. What did you end up playing?
I played mono white humans.
Okay.
And I day-2'd, so it felt great.
Ooh, congrats. That's nice. Oh, no.
All right, we're going to look in
Speaking
here.
of standard, there's a smuggler's
copter. The looter scooter on its way.
We will be seeing a lot of those, I believe, in Hawaii.
Yes. Green-white over here from Ryan. Aerial Responder. It doesn't match up so well against the Smuggler's Copter, but it is a fantastic card nonetheless.
Yeah, and nothing really does. That's part of the reason why that card's so good.
Here comes Visionary Augmenter 2-1 with Fabricate 2. Deciding to put the counters on Visionary Augmenter, a.k.a. Ripley from Aliens. That's just what that card's called. Let's be honest.
Yeah, you're right.
Prophetic Prism from Tiago draws a card. And a Key to the City. That's an interesting card.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to play Key to the City yet. It's a rare. I haven't taken it. I've passed it a couple of times. I haven't lost to it yet. I'm curious to see what it does here. You can tap it to make one of your creatures unblockable until end of turn, and then when it untaps, you can pay 2 mana. And you have to discard a card.
Yes.
In that first interaction. And then when it untaps, you can pay 2 mana and you get to draw a card. So it has this sort of delayed loot thing going on. And then it combines it strangely with getting your creatures into the red zone.
So Ryan here offering the trade for Smuggler's Copter. Tiago is going to draw and discard.
Thanks to the block. And it looks like he's just going to trade it off. You never want to trade off your really sweet rare, but it seems fine.
All right, we're going to check back in with our first match, Andrew Brown versus Michael Bonde. We have a Reckless Fireweaver on the table for Michael versus 2/2 only from Andrew. Aviary Mechanic again. Twins.
Looks like he's just playing them as 2/2s this game. There's a lot of cool things you can do with Aviary Mechanics, but one of them is just play a 2/2.
Eddie Trail Hawk for Michael. Be interesting to see how much use he can make of that Hawk's energy ability later in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew's going to crack in with his 2/2s. Michael's like, I'll block. Propeller Pioneer for Andrew, choosing to put the counter on the Pioneer herself.
Good old Snapping Drake.
Yep. Ooh.
Oh, Furious Reprisal.
What a beating.
Game. Maybe not, but still, that was pretty bad for Andrew.
That card has proven to be fantastic for me every time I've cast it.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's just a 2-for-1, generally.
Yeah, and even if it's not, you'll kill something small and do 2 to them, which is close enough.
Wild Wanderer for Andrew is going to go find a basic.
And there's that Mystery Mountain. I still don't.
Still
I think
don't
it must just be he must have written it incorrectly, because it does show that he's got a swamp and no mountains in his list. But I think that he might have just missed which side.
Did you tell me what the mountain is for?
Oh, good question. I still don't know the answer to that. Let me look.
Built to smash? Demolish?
No, I mean, he doesn't have any red cards marked. None of his gold cards.
Sky Swirl Harrier for Michael. Just a 3/4 for 5 flyer, but that card has proven to me to be very, very solid.
Yeah, I don't really understand what the mountain's for. So the weird thing is that looking at his list in black, so he has one swamp marked, and in black he is splashing a card.
Huh. Multiform Wonder. We've seen a lot of that card today already. 3/3 for 5. Get 3 energy. You can pay an energy to give it Flying, Vigilance, or Lifelink. And +2/-2 or -2/+2. In comes a Sky Swirl Harrier for 3. Tapping 5 for a Wayward Giant. 4/5 with Menace.
I'm wondering if this is a different Andrew Brown's list I have in my hands, because there's also some cards that he doesn't have on his deck list at all that he has on the battlefield. Maybe there's just multiple Andrew Browns.
Poor Marshall is sitting here trying to figure this out.
I am just scratching my head because the thing is that the base colors are actually correct. Like the deck that I've been handed, or the list that I've been handed, does have green-white with a splash.
Yeah.
But like it doesn't have any Wild Wanderers on it.
Yeah, okay.
But it does have a tune with the ether, which we saw. So anyway, I'm gonna get that sorted.
The perfect
I'll let
recipe for confusion.
that little confusion just rest for now, because I've just been scratching my head at this thing forever.
Multiform Wonder coming into the red zone. Always a difficult card to block, just because of its many abilities. So it appears Andrew spent an energy on the Multiform Wonder.
Card's good. We're going to see a lot of those
Yep.
today for the sealed portion, and it's a likely first pick in the draft as
Lifelink.
well.
Prophetic Prism. Question, Marshall, are you playing Prophetic Prism even if you're not splashing?
It depends. Like, you could see that Michael just got a little bit of value out of it from his Reckless Fireweaver there, bringing Andrew Brown from 18 to 17. So maybe.
Okay.
I would say probably not, generally. I need to get something out of it. I don't need a lot. A couple of Doomed Operatives would probably do it for me.
Sure.
If I had 2 of those Reckless Fireweavers, I'd probably consider it. It doesn't need to be much, but just, 2 mana draw card, I do want to get something out of that.
So the Wayward Giant getting in there with the Eddy Trail Hawk. The Giant has flying, notably, thanks to the Hawk. One of the better uses of the Hawk. Ooh, Harnessed Lightning from Andrew Brown.
And
spending
all of it.
All of his energy.
Yeah, he had 2 saved up, and he gets 3 from the Harnessed Lightning. That's enough to kill the Giant.
Yep.
That's nice. I mean, he needed a little help, but he paid 2 mana and instant speed to kill a 5-drop there.
Yep.
You don't get that
trade.
very often in Limited, so that's really nice.
Harness Lightning is a fantastic card. It's just so flexible, right? You get no matter what, 3 damage, and potentially up to infinite more. So it appears there are, in fact, 2 Andrew Browns in the tournament.
Yes.
And that's what happened.
And I feel much better now. They are both playing green-white. They are both splashing.
Wow. Okay.
They both have a lot of the green-white cards that you would expect to see, but
what are the chances?
This is not the one.
Oh, here we see Blossoming Defense, +2/+2, and Hexproof until end of turn.
Okay.
That's a handy little card.
That's a nice use for that.
Save that for your modern deck.
Would you first pick that?
No, Marshall, I would not. I think you would, though. Wouldn't you? Interesting. Brazen Scourge is a play for Michael. That was one of my favorite raps to your show, by the way. Tell LSB.
He's in the chat right now.
Great job,
you just
Luis.
made his day.
Wild Wanderer getting in there. Double block from Michael.
Yeah, I like this block from Michael. He's offering to trade 1 for 1, either of these 2 creatures for the much bigger 3/2. And looks like he's gotten away with it, too. So the Reckless Fireweaver, it's done its job, and now it's going to trade off for a 4-drop. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, I have Andrew Brown's actual list now, and it
Hooray!
feels so good.
Glint Sleeve Artisan taking the counter from Andrew Brown.
So Andrew is splashing for the Harness Lightning that we already saw. He's
Yep.
also got 2 copies of Welding Sparks.
Okay. That's fair. There you can see Glint Sleeve Artisan on your screen, a 2/2 with Fabricate 1 for 3.
I just saw a really good card in Andrew's deck.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, we're gonna. I'll wait and see if it pops up here.
Suspense.
Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to say it, but he's got some. This deck looks great. He's got
Andrew's
2
in
Attune
three?
with the Aether actually in this deck,
Oh.
and that means that he's decided to run 16 lands rather than the 17, with 8 of them being forests. So those are basically a land as long as you have a forest. That's how to
Sure.
look at that.
Sure.
So he's kind of in between.
Yeah, that's always interesting when you can feel safe enough to take out a land.
Yeah, and definitely with 2. Some people do with 1, but it just depends on how many forests you have.
Michael has his own copy of Glint Sleeve Artisan. He's going to make a servo with his. Just a fantastic flexible card. 3/3 for 3. What
Card's
a
great.
great rate. Otherwise a 2/2 and a 1/1. Eddie Trailhawk pinging in for 1. That's something that I personally want to work on more in my sealed deck building skills, is how to more confidently build a 3-color pool if I think that I need to. Multiform Wonder and Glint Sleeve Artisan are the attacks. Brazen Scourge blocking the Multiform Wonder. Andrew out of energy at this point.
He's also out of action,
Yeah.
holding some lands in hand, it looks like. Michael pretty happily traded off for the Multiform Wonder there.
Absolutely.
That Brazen Scourge wasn't looking amazing anymore.
Multiform Wonder, just a house. I did make a misplay with it once where I had the Black Gear Hulk and I targeted both copies of the Multiform Wonder that my opponent had. My opponent just kills both of them in response.
Really?
Yeah. So I got nothing. I suppose it was a removal spell
I guess if
away.
you killed him.
Glint Sleeve Artisan getting in. Here's that Welding Sparks that he's splashing for. Oof, impeccable timing from Michael.
Impeccable indeed. All right, so this board has gotten pretty significantly cleared up here.
Yeah, absolutely. There's only a 2/2 and a 1/2 and a 1/1.
But we see in hand just 2 cards in hand there for Andrew, while Michael's got 5. Plays the land and drops to 4.
Passes a turn. Didn't attack with his hawk.
At only 6 life, he'd rather preserve the option of making a double block here. If he attacks, it just opens the door for Andrew to attack with his 2/2.
Iron League Steed is the play for Andrew Brown. 2/2 with haste and fabricate 1. Yeah, and there you go. There comes.
So he gets to
attack.
trade off his Aviary Mechanic for an Eddie Trailhawk, which he's happy to do, and leave himself with a 3/3 that's now lethal, facing down just a 1/1 from Bonding.
Fragmentize from Bondi, taking care of that Iron League Steed. Another card which was maybe or maybe not main deckable. I think it's definitely main deckable. We have a Bomat Courier.
This could get interesting.
This little guy is pretty interesting. It's a 1/1 for 1. It has haste, and when it attacks, you exile the top card of your library face down, and at any time you can pay red mana and sacrifice the Bomat Courier to put all the cards exiled with it into your hand.
He's probably going to do that here. I think he's
Yeah.
got 3 lands in his hand. It looks like he's going to be patient. He can still wait, but the way is completely clear for him.
Yeah,
He
so you
would
just
love to get back
discard
on this
those
board.
lands. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think if he's going to do it this way, he'd probably attack again. He knows he can get one more attack in. Even if there's a blocker, you can just do it before blocks or, before the creature dies.
Right.
And yeah, he's just going to kind of run it up with the Bomat
Yeah.
Courier.
Yeah, there's another land.
Another land. He's considering playing the land first. If he plays the land, he gets 1 fewer card. He's got plenty. Yeah, all right. He just needs to rumble here.
Welding Sparks.
Before attacks, the Welding Sparks is going to hit it. So Andrews doesn't want to see that happen with an additional card, so Michael's going to get to draw 2 here. And since attacks didn't happen, the servo gets to get in.
Thriving Ibex. 2 energy. Now up to 3. And everybody scries, party scry, off of the Eager Construct.
Yeah. And we've already seen Thriving Ibex flying through the air earlier.
We sure did. And not just on the art of Sky Swirl Harrier. Oh, Fumigate!
There, that's the one I was talking about.
Oh!
Just clear out the board. So all that work from the Bomat Courier.
Oh,
man,
there's
that's got to
follow-up.
be literally the best draw in Michael Bonday's deck right there.
Oh, Master Trinketeer, 3/2 for 3, gives servos and Thopters +1/+1. You can pay 4 to make a servo, especially on an empty board. What a follow-up.
Curious to see if he attacks with the Trinketeer here. He may leave it back, fearing impeccable timing. He may also just decide, he's going to leave it back. That makes some sense here. He has the ability to make 2 servos per turn now.
And they're 2/2s.
And they're 2/2s each. So he's going to take over this game very quickly just with the Trinketeer.
Look at that card go. Here come the servos. Andrew Brown just takes it. It looks like he has a Cultivator of Blades in his hand, which
that is a card he has in his deck. That will help. Not a lot, though. I still think this Master Trinketeer is just going to dominate this board now.
Revoke privileges, can attack, block, or crew vehicles, but that's just fine.
Yeah, it still has the privilege of jamming out 2/2s in the form of 2 of them return. You're going to take infinite.
There, Michael Bonda takes a match. 2-0 over Andrew Brown.
Kind of cool. You know, the first one was super, super aggressive from Bonde, and then the second one was much different. You know, he generated a little bit of value off of the Bomat Courier. Andrew stemmed that bleeding pretty quickly, though. It was only 2 extra cards, then got fumigated, and then boom, he was able to find that Trinketeer and completely take over.
That was a fantastic play after that fumigate. We're going to take a look here at Tiago Saporito.
Yeah, Marie, can you break down this board state? You're the play-by-play, so go ahead and just let us know what's going on with this.
All right.
Welcome to the booth.
Give me about 10 years. I'll get back to you.
Oh, my God. What an insane board state.
And this is something that I wondered if it would happen in this format because we see so many high toughness and power creatures, and there's vehicles that are just beefy running around. Oh, he's going to draw some cards.
Just a couple, but that's pretty good.
That's great.
The Armorcraft Judge getting him 2 cards. Now, the thing to keep in mind, though, when you see a board state like this, right, is there's usually 2 ways that these board states get broken up. One of them is somebody finds a threat that can attack and just keeps sending it into the red zone, whether it's a flyer, an unblockable creature, something that gives unblockable, or something that's just simply so big that it would trade off for 2, 3, maybe 4 cards on the other side of the battlefield. The other way that it gets broken up is that somebody builds out a board that's big enough to just start attacking with a ton of creatures. Now, that usually only happens when the players are at low life total, and as you can see, they're both at very high life total here. So those are the 2 ways that these things generally go. And what we have here is Ryan has now completely tapped out, it looks like. No, I spoke a little bit too soon. He does have 1 creature that can tap for mana down there, but still he's mostly tapped out, so Tiago gets to have kind of free reign to block how he sees fit. And I think that, you know, sending vehicles into the red zone is going to become pretty commonplace if they can trade off for 1 or 2 creatures like you see here.
Yeah. Also Ryan's sitting on a cool 10 energy over there in the corner.
Must be nice. Drowning in energy. It doesn't look like he has a whole lot to do with it, though.
No. That's a situation when you like the beast maker, as it were.
Tiago's going to throw a triple block now. And, you know, the only cards that he really needs to worry about here, I think, are Built to Last and Blossoming Defense. And he's going to keep those in mind, but just be fine to trade off a couple of creatures there.
Tiago also has an aerial responder on his side of the battlefield. So always a
I see
possibility
that.
of getting some life back. 2 copies of Prophetic Prism and a key to the city, and he's going to activate it.
So that is one of those type of cards that you can use to really start to power through here, both taking advantage of the loot ability to get lands out of there. He's got plenty of those, and to get in for damage where he sees fit. So this is actually a really cool timing in the game that we came into. Key to the City looks great here, by the way.
It does. Yeah, it does.
That Arborback Stomper has 6 power. Now it's going to
Nature's
smash.
Way.
Yeah, well, the shields are down.
So Arborback Stomper, Marshall, the new Thragtusk.
Close enough. No. It's good, though.
Yeah, it is.
I really like the card. I take it over most stuff in the set, but
Would you take it over an aerial responder?
at this point, I think I would actually, yeah.
Really?
I think I would. I've really enjoyed playing green. I think green is one of the deepest and best colors, and I really, really like Arborback Stomper. Though, to be fair, I do think the responder is a better card in general. But I've really preferred green a lot. I think green's great. Stomper also tends to dodge a lot of the removal that you see at common, and the responder tends to die to a lot of the removal.
Yep.
And we talked about impeccable timing and welding sparks being 2 of the ones that you're going to see a lot.
Yeah, with only 3 toughness. That one point of toughness can make all the difference.
Indeed.
And here's Welding Sparks. Speaking of, Welding Sparks on the Eager construct.
And this is a pretty big swing here for Tiago. This turn went really, really well for him.
Look at how much he has cleared up the board
Yeah,
state compared to when we came in.
This
Look
is
at
absurd. That was a savage blowout by anybody's
that. Yes.
estimation there. He gets to keep the Stomper. Also, the Stomper even gets in for some trample. It's just ridiculous.
And all in the back of a Welding Sparks and a Nature's Way.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, when you play 2 removal spells in one turn and you got the kind of board that Tiago has there, you can do a lot of work, and we saw it there.
Wisp Weaver Angel is going to blink
Draw
the
a card.
Armorcraft Judge draw card. Renegade Freighter.
Yeah, the Pain Train doesn't look amazing here, though. It is still decent, right? It'll still maybe trade for something or block something on the ground instead of one of the smaller creatures having to block. Because Ryan's board is still pretty impressive when you look at it.
It is. It's not too shabby. That 4/4 flyer helps things out significantly as well.
3/2 flyer, 3/3 on the ground.
So our Arborback Stomper gets unblockable thanks to Key of the City. Tiago discarding an island. And this is what you mentioned before, too, when you do get a clogged board state. You know, if you have something that can get unblockable, just go for it.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially, really this Key to the City is dominating this board in many ways because while Ryan's a little bit behind on board, he's just going to keep taking hits, and if he starts killing the creatures that are attacking, it's still not going to work out great for him.
Right. Wildest Dreams from Tiago.
Oh, my God. Are you serious?
Yes. For 7. So we got back 3 cards.
Oh, my God. Tiago is just crushing now. That is insane.
He got back Welding Sparks, and I'm not sure what the other 2 were.
Man, it looks like Ryan's deck is better set up for the early game, but Tiago has the late game really in spades here. I mean, that Key to the City doing serious work. Remember, he's been discarding cards to that and building up his mana, and now he just gets to rebuy a bunch of them.
Ryan plays
Gross.
just a 6/6 for 6. We talked about him during a deck building, watching Corey Burkhart. All right, here the Pain Train's going to get in, crewed up, and the Propeller Pioneer.
I'm curious to see what Ryan has. This could be desperation time here. I mean, Ryan's certainly going to recognize that he is not winning this late game no matter what.
No.
And it may be better to just start attacking. and give himself, maybe he has some outs in his deck that can do something, but
Double
this
block.
is going to be very difficult for him to climb his way out of, because if Tiago gets to untap, he has 3 spells in hand to start the turn no matter what. He can even pay 2 mana and draw another card if he'd like. Wouldn't be surprised to see him actually skip it this turn just because he has so much to do in his hand. It kind of depends on how he lined it up. Yeah, he's not even going to bother.
Draw it. When you've already got 3 amazing cards.
Yeah, he'd rather have the mana freed up.
I think I see a Gear Seeker Serpent in his hand as well, which is pretty cheap on this board.
Speaking of unblockable.
Yeah. Welding Sparks comes back. Can deal approximately 1 million thanks to those Prophetic Prisms, Filigree Familiar, and Key of the City.
Yeah, so it's doing 7.
Blossoming Defense from Ryan saves the Angel.
He did have the Blossoming Defense. That's kind of interesting.
And there it is, Gear Seeker Serpent for 3.
Gross.
Affinity for Artifacts in limited. Discards to give the Arborback Stomper unblockable. And that's Confiscation Coup that he discarded.
He just discarded Confiscation?
Yep. I mean, when you want to deal 5, you want to deal... I mean 6 in this case at his counter.
Oh my gosh.
You want to deal 6?
Bastion Mastodon there for Ryan.
Yeah, he's just a scoop.
Surveys the scene. It doesn't look good.
Tiago takes it down 2-0. Congrats to him. What a fantastic match.
That was gross.
And that does it for round 4 here at GP Atlanta.
Yeah, we might have a little more action here.
Oh.
They're just finishing up, but we may have one other match in the feature.
We'll take a look and find out.
We'll see if we can get that on camera for you. It's possible.
Okay, so we've seen all our matches this round. We'll be back very shortly with round 5 and round 4 here at GP Atlanta.